Michael will interrupt you when it's time.
That sounds good. I don't know why my camera's not doing the thing.
We like your avatar. It's pretty cool.
Yeah. That's the mighty Mobot.
Yeah.
All right, I'm gonna unhook here and try and rehook.
Okay. All right, speakers, if you want to mute your mics for the moment while Mo is playing, we'll do a mic check and camera check in just a moment.
Alex, I'm going to mute my mic and call that other speaker.
Okay.
Yeah, he's.
Okay.
All right. Perfect. Hey, yep, Elliot, mic off, please, today, since you're done with everything. Perfect. Thank you.
Whoops. When the night has come and the land is dark and the moon is the only that we'll see. No, I won't be afraid. No, I won't be afraid. Just as long as you stand by me. So darling, darling, stand by me. Oh, stand by me. Oh, stand by me. Stand by me. If the sky we look upon should tumble and fall, and the mountains should crumble to the sea. No, I won't cry. No, I won't shed a tear. Just as long as you stand by me. So darling, darling, stand by me. Oh, stand by me. Oh, stand by me. Stand by me. Stand by me. So darling, darling, stand by me. Oh, stand by me. Oh, stand by me. Stand by me. Whenever you're in trouble, just stand by me. Oh, stand by me. Oh, stand by me. Stand by me. Stand by me. That was a nice one. Do you want another one? You good? We ready to roll another one? Okay. Let's do one more then. Oh my goodness. I should have thought about that. Let's do No, that's not a good one. I want to do something that makes sense. Let's do waving flag again. Does that sound good? Okay. Let's do that. Whoa, 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 whoa. Give me freedom, give me fire, give me reason, take me higher. See the champions take the field now. Unify us, make us feel proud. In the streets, our hands are lifted as we lose our inhibition. Celebration, it's around us. Every nation all around us, singing forever young, singing songs underneath the sun. Let us rejoice in the beautiful game, and together at the end of the day, scroll. We all say when I get older, I will be stronger. There comes the freedom, just like a waving flag. And then it goes back, and then it goes back, and then it goes back, and then it goes. When I get older, I will be stronger. There comes the freedom, just like a waving flag. And then it goes back, and then it goes back, and then it goes back, and then it goes. Whoa, oh, 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 whoa, oh, 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 whoa, oh, oh, whoa, oh, oh, oh. The shorty version, so we can get on these sweet speeches.
Thank you, Mo. Thank you, Mo Phillips. Appreciate you, especially with that second song, because it took me about 5 minutes for my technology to settle in. I accidentally went grid mode, and my whole situation just froze. So I couldn't do anything while we were in between songs, Mo. So I'm grateful that you were here, and I'm grateful that you were willing to help me bridge that technological gap. Thanks for coming in, being a part of our community to get us started, Mo. We really appreciate you. And folks, another reminder, tomorrow, Mo's not able to be here. Alex is facilitating. I know Alex loves picking music to play, but I think the preference is human beings from our community stepping up to do it themselves. It's powerful. Bella and Opal, you set that tone. Perhaps a reset of that tone, or somebody else to come take the lead on that. Welcome, folks, to our digital community gatherings to make space for our 8th grade speakers today. Welcome to Carly, Marley, Rocky Joe, Cosman, and Winter, who are stepping up in our community to bring their perspectives and truth to us today. Welcome to all of the students who have continuously shown up for the past month for one another as a community. Welcome to our family. Welcome to our alumni who are here to support either in this meeting or out in the YouTube world. Thanks to Eamon for navigating that. It is good to be together in community, you all, despite the distance, despite the digital constraints. And thank you for Carly, Marley, Rocky Joe, and Cosman and Winter for bringing their leadership to us today. The truth is, before we start, I want to acknowledge just kind of where I'm coming into this meeting from. I have been reflecting unendingly on what it means to be a bystander lately, really for years, but in particular this past week, and how so often in my own life as a cisgendered white male, I have stayed in that safety or that supposed sense of safety of what it means to be a bystander. And when I think about that beyond myself and consider what is going on today, and how, though there was only one specific knee from one specific police officer on the neck of George Floyd, there were 3 other officers in that space participating in that act as bystanders. And when I connect that thought of bystanders to the quote that Carrie McCoy left us with yesterday from Ibram X. Kendi, history is calling the future from streets of protest. What choice will we make? What world will we create? What will we be? There are only 2 choices, racist or anti-racist. When I think about that quote from Ibram X. Kendi that Carrie brought, I think about how the act of being a bystander, how dangerous it is, how it is continuing to participate in oppression. And so, and reflecting on my own self, it's scary to me that that's something that I have participated in, that oppression. And so I'm thinking about the work I have to do as a white person to be anti-racist, to be an upstander. And part of listening, continuously learning, and interrupting unjust systems means that to not be a bystander, I have to learn to experience and stay engaged in my own discomfort. And I have to learn to speak my truth even when it is incredibly difficult. And to not do so is to continue participating in oppression for myself. And so today, I'm honored to be a part of these 5 8th graders, Carly and Marley and Rocky Joe, Cosman and Winter, setting an example of what it means to feel that discomfort of, holy moly, sweet macaroni, I'm about to give my speech, but then stay within it and stay engaged to then speak their truth despite that discomfort. It is not easy for our 8th graders to come into this space to do so, and yet we've been doing it for the past month. It is powerful and it is impactful, and I am learning so much from it. So thank you to the 5 who are here today, who are doing that, who are experiencing their discomfort but staying engaged and speaking their truth. You are inspiring, you are leading, you are teaching. And I'm grateful for the 203 folks in this meeting who are in solidarity with you 5 to help be a part of that process. So with that, let's bring our 5 leaders up today to do a quick mic check so that we can turn it over to you entirely, and you can carry our community wherever your perspective wants to take us. So Carly and Marley and Rocky Joe and Cosman and Winter, let's get your cameras on. And let's prepare ourselves for a mic check. Carly, I can see you. You're our first speaker today. Good morning.
Good morning, Michael. How are you?
I am okay. I'm really glad to be in this space and honored that I get to help facilitate your speech. Carly, favorite dessert item currently, if you had to pick one?
I would say, this is weird, but raspberry coconut yogurt.
That's not weird at all. That's amazing. Thank you for sharing that, Carly. Okay. Marley Zeller, you are our second speaker today. Good morning, Marley.
Good morning.
Marley, I see you. I hear you. Thank you for being in here and stepping into this. Marley, what is your current snack of choice?
Cinnamon Toast Crunch.
Oh my gosh, that's the best answer I've ever heard. That's my favorite cereal of all time. Thank you for that truth. That was important for us to hear. If y'all don't know Cinnamon Toast Crunch, it is the truth. All right, Marley, we're ready to go. We'll see you in a little bit. Thank you. Rocky Joe, you are our third speaker today. Good morning, Rocky Joe.
Good morning, Michael.
Rocky Joe, how are you?
I'm good.
Right on.
I'm
Rocky Joe,
tired.
if possible, we'd love for you to be able to turn on your video.
That would also be cool, but my camera doesn't work right now.
All right. Well, I'm glad you're here, Rocky Joe. Rocky Joe, do you have a game of choice in your life right now?
Not really. I'm kind of going around a couple.
Okay. Fair enough. Well, Rocky Joe, thank you for being here. Thank you for stepping into the discomfort of participating in your speech, and we look forward to what you have to share.
Thank you.
Cosman, I see you on my grid. Good morning, Cosman. How are you?
I'm good.
Thank you for being here, Cosman. Do you have you clearly know my opinion on it, but do you have a favorite breakfast cereal?
Cheerios, probably.
Honey Nut or just regular?
Both.
Fair enough. I grew up eating Honey Nut Cheerios, which is why I asked. Thank you for being here, Cosman. I'm glad you're here, and we will turn it back to you in a bit. Winter, you are closing out our speeches today. Winter Peterson, good morning. How are you? I can't see you.
Good morning.
I can now hear you, and I can now see you. What's up, Winter? How you doing?
I'm doing good. How are you?
I am okay. I'm excited to hear your perspective today in these speeches. Winter, do you have a favorite summertime beverage?
Probably Shirley Temple.
Ooh, fair enough. Right on. Thank you, Winter. I'm glad you're here, and we are ready to go with our speeches. We will come back to you in a bit. Thank you to our 203 community members and folks in YouTube for showing up for these 5 today who are coming bravely with their truths to share with us. Thank you all for being in solidarity with these 5 speakers by honoring our expectations, by making sure that you are being aware of your own tech with cameras and mics off unless you are our 5 speakers, and by staying out of the chats so we can hold space for them and what they have to say. With that, it is time to begin. Our first speaker today is Carly Peterson.
Okay. It's weird being up here. It's surreal. Okay. When I think back on the last 9 years of my life at Sunnyside Environmental School, I ask myself, how am I a different person because I was here? How has this place affected me and influenced the person that I became? The one thing that sticks out to me is that I believe I am a different person because of the people I was surrounded by. I am a different person because of the staff at Sunnyside Environmental School. For that reason, I would like to make my speech a commemorative speech. A commemorative speech, for those of you who don't know, is a speech that honors something or someone. The 2 people I would like to honor today are Amy Kleiner and Karen Shea. To begin with, I would like to read a few lines from Ralph Waldo Emerson's definition of success. To laugh often and much. To win the respect of intelligent people and the affection of children. To earn the appreciation of honest critics and to endure the betrayal of false friends. Amy Kleiner taught me to want to earn the respect of intelligent people. Amy Kleiner taught me to endure the betrayal of false friends and to move forward. This portion of the poem also made me think of Karen Shea. Karen does what she knows is right, and it doesn't bother her if that doesn't please every single person. I learned from Karen Shea that I don't need to please every single person, and I'm happier knowing this. I'm happier knowing that it is not important for me to make all the people happy all the time. All that's important is that I do what I know is the right thing. To appreciate beauty, to find the best in others, and to leave the world a bit better, whether by a healthy child or a garden patch, or a redeemed social condition. Both Amy Kleiner and Karen Shea have created a redeemed social condition in this world for me. And the last part of this poem is my favorite part. To know even one life has breathed easier because you have lived. This is to have succeeded. I breathed easier because of Amy Kleiner and Karen Shea. My life was better because of these 2 people. So when I look back on my life and I go forward to live the rest of it, I will remember each day and I will commemorate the lessons that were taught to me by the people of Sunnyside Environmental School. My family and I have moved and only occasionally drive to Portland. When we do, I ask my mother to drive by Sunnyside. The school grounds are quiet and there are no children, but in my head I can still hear all of the kids and teachers. I think sometimes what it will be like to drive past 5 years from now. I think about how sad it is that none of us got to finish this year the way that we thought we would. And so to end today, as a part of my goodbye, I will read a few lines from another one of my favorite poems by the great Irish poet W.B. Yeats. It reminds me of driving past the school, and when I think ahead on life that I will be living, and when I wonder where I will be in 10 or 20 or 30 years, and when I wonder if I'm standing on a street somewhere far away from now, will I remember the people that I knew as a child? This poem refers to the memories of a place from the past, as a man goes out to live the rest of his life, but is always reminded of where he started. I will arise and go now, and go to the lake of Ennisfree, and I shall have some peace there, for peace comes dropping slow. I will arise and go now, for always night and day I hear lake water lapping with the low sounds of the shore, while I stand on the roadway or the pavement gray. I still hear it in a deep heart's core. Thank you.
thank you, Carly Peterson, for starting our speeches today, for bringing your truth to our community. Thank you, Carly. Our second speaker today is Marley Zeller.
Okay, hello.
Hello.
All right. My first season playing basketball was in 3rd grade. The year after I moved to Sunnyside, I lived in a small gray apartment near Laurelhurst. My dad signed me up for my old school's rec team, the Buckman Bears. There was only one team and they were all 4th graders, and I was very shy at the time and wasn't really excited to play. From rec basketball to going to each of my brother's practices and shooting on the sideline, I finally got good enough to try out for a more competitive team. At the time, I had no idea basketball would become so important in my life. The game would introduce me to coaches, trainers, and players that would influence my approach to the game. Over the years, basketball has taught me many important life skills and made me who I am. In 6th grade, I tried out for Franklin Youth, a team that would soon become some of my best friends and favorite coaches that I'd be playing with for 3 years straight. For the first 2 years of middle school, basketball looked mostly the same, with a bunch of competitive tournaments against mostly local teams in the fall. That league was called AAU. Then we had PIL in the winter, where we played against all the youth teams for the PPS high schools. And then for spring and summer, I would go back to AAU. I was pretty good during 6th and 7th grade, but the summer leading up to 8th grade was when I really started improving and practicing and gaining confidence. During the end of summer, I got to start working with a trainer that is still helping me out today. He made me a way better player, and I occasionally got to work out with seniors and juniors, including my brother, instead of just him. Over the months, I started wanting to improve and practice and play more and more. Then a little bit before halfway through the year, I started going to 24-hour fitness at least every other day before school. And the days I didn't go in the mornings, I went after school. I loved those early mornings when it was just me, the court, and a basketball. It was what I looked forward to every single day, even if it meant waking up at 5 a.m. The game has taught me perseverance in many ways. 3 years ago, at a basketball tournament, both my knees started hurting and it was painful to walk. I was diagnosed with Osgood-Schlatter disease. That was causing the pain in my knees. The pain was on and off when I stretched before games, trying to play through the pain and ice my knees afterwards. There is always a dull pain now, and sometimes it is worse than others, but I continue to play. Playing basketball has taught me to take risks, and taking those risks increased my confidence. When I started playing, I was scared and did not believe in myself as a player. Over time, I came to realize that I wanted the experience of playing against better players, even when it meant I would not stand out while playing against them. I wanted to learn, and I knew that playing more experienced players would improve my game. So far, 8th grade has been the best year of my life, and that includes quarantine, because it has made me realize how important little things are, like seeing my friends and going to practice. It's even making me miss those practices where we have to run down the court and back 10 times before going home. A lot has happened this year, and I still am looking forward to more memories. Over the year, I got my first 30-point game, my first straight-A semester, my first dunk, and many more firsts. For a lot of people, quarantine is the worst thing that's happened to them this year because of all the things they don't get to do. And that makes a lot of sense, but for me, it's one of the best things that's happened to me this year. I look at it as an opportunity to improve as an athlete. I've been able to pursue my dream of basketball and could not have done that without my friends and family. My dad supports me, got me on my first team, and makes sacrifices daily to help me become the best player I can be. My brother was my inspiration. I wanted to be like him, and I would go to all of his practices. My mom, being one of the most kind-hearted, caring people in my life, has made me a player that helps their teammates and has taught me to be a positive influence on the court. Without them, I'm not sure where I'd be in terms of sports. Thank you.
Woohoo!
Yes, Marley Zeller. Woo! Yeah, Marley. Woo! Thank you, Marley Zeller. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Thank you. All right. we are going to transition to our next speech. Our third speaker today is Rocky Joe Vella. Rocky Joe, can you?
Sorry, wasn't able to unmute for a second.
It's all right. You're here. You're talking. We can hear you. Rocky Joe Vella, space is yours.
All right, let me just bring up my speech. Let me just bring up. I got my speech up. One second.
Hey, Rock, if you're not ready, you want to swap with Cosmin? Sorry, Cosmin.
No, I'm just having technological issues. I can't bring up my speech.
Okay. Do you want to swap out with Cosmin and go in a minute? Do you have the paper copy still?
No, I don't have the paper copy still. I don't know where it went.
Okay. How about Michael? I'm gonna turn over to you. Cosmin, do you feel ready to go? And Rock, I'm gonna have you turn your mic off and I'm gonna give you a call, okay?
Okay.
Okay.
Okay. Thank you, Amy. Thank you, Rocky Joe. We will navigate this. We will get your speech up and running. We want to hear from you, Rocky Joe. We appreciate you. And Cosmin, thank you for your flexibility in navigating the world of coming together as a community in a digital environment. Cosmin, just to check, I think I heard you say, okay, are you good to go right now?
Mm-hmm.
All right, then. Cosmin, Wasson, Simon, you are our next speaker, and the space is yours.
No one saves us but ourselves. No one can, and no one may. We ourselves must walk the path. Gautama Buddha. Buddhism is an ancient religion, one that I first learned about from my grandmother, my Banoi. My grandmother is originally from Vietnam, and Buddhism is a religion that is practiced in many parts of her country. While I don't officially think of myself as a Buddhist, as a person, I connect with some of the beliefs of the religion. In Buddhism, there's an idea that through proper thinking, self-reflection, and a right state of mind, one can become enlightened. Enlightenment is the process of becoming a better person. A big part of the journey to enlightenment is knowing and accepting that the world is not going to magically change for you. The only way to become better is to do it yourself. I believe that life is a journey to self-improvement, and I've experienced this myself over the course of 7th and 8th grade. I feel that I've grown and matured a lot in the last 2 years. But it didn't just happen to me. Similar to the Buddhist path to enlightenment, I did a lot of internal work and reflection, and it was not a passive process. Over the last 18 months, I have practiced self-reflection, healthy self-critique, goal-setting, persistence, tracking, taking action through my own behaviors and habits. 8th grade has felt different and better than 7th as a result of this internal work and reflection. I have grown. In the 8th grade, 30% at school and in groups of people. For example, in 7th grade, the only way I connect with other people, kids, adults, or friends, would be if they initiated the conversation first. I liked my 7th grade core class a lot, but I rarely talked or contributed to the class discussion. If my name was pulled on a popsicle stick during class meeting, I would often choose to pass instead of share. School felt like a chore to me back then. I felt like I was getting through each day, waiting for the 3:15 bell to ring so I can just go home and be by myself. At the beginning of 7th grade, I think I was relatively happy just being quiet, but as the year went on, I began to feel worse and worse. I started to think that my self-worth in middle school was based on the number of friends that I had. I looked up to and even idolized people in my class who I thought were popular, and I wanted to be a little more like them. Certain people were really funny, they were kind, and it seemed like they were comfortable connecting with anyone, making people laugh, just being themselves at school. I compared myself to these people, and looking back on it, I don't think it was very healthy for me. I remember, I remember feeling jealous, dissatisfied, and stressed out a lot of the time. I think in 7th grade, I put pressure on myself. I wanted to be like the other kids who seemed so comfortable in my classroom. The more I compared myself to other people, the worse I began to feel about myself. Toward the end of 7th grade, I started to think about this. I began slowly, and with dedication, making some changes in my life. I knew I wanted 8th grade to be different. As an 8th grader, I didn't want school to feel like a chore, and I knew I didn't want to spend every day counting down until the ability 15. I knew I wanted to feel mentally and physically healthy. My 7th grade community class was strong. I had begun getting to know some of my classmates, but I also knew that if these were going to transform into real friendships, I needed to let people open. I needed to be more open, less shy, and I needed to let people in. I started to put all these ideas into action using both the internet and also help from my mom. My mom was a really good listener. I could tell her everything I was going through. She heard me and she never judged me for it. I started to open up to her, and I also began to research and set some of my own goals. Some of my goals were physical. I worked on getting a good night's sleep every night. I started walking and riding a bike. I paid more attention to what I was eating and tried to eat more nutritious foods. Other goals I set were mental and emotional. I started pushing myself to go out with friends more often outside of school. When I was in school, if I was at a table with new people, I pushed myself to socialize more with them. The internet was an important resource for me as I set goals and worked on my own improvement. I found a video that taught me to write down 3 things that I was grateful for each day. I started doing that, and I did it for every day of 8th grade until social distancing started. For example, on January 8th, 2020, I wrote, I'm grateful for boba tea, I'm grateful for my new attempt towards mental health, and I'm grateful for hanging with my friend S after school. I know that I'm not done with this process yet, and that I may be on a path to self-improvement for a really long time, but I'm positive that I've grown in the time between 7th and 8th grade, and I feel much happier now. 8th grade has been the greatest year of my life so far. Overall, I feel much better. Things that used to worry me or make me feel insecure or self-critical don't bother me as much as they used to. In 7th grade, I would lay awake at night, unable to sleep, thinking about the things during the day that I could have or should have done better. When I was an 8th grader, I no longer lose sleep over these kinds of things anymore, and my mind can be relaxed when I'm going to bed. Because I opened myself up and took more risks in social settings, I have more friendships, I'm connected with more people, and my relationships are not only stronger, but they are more important to me than they ever have been ever. I reach out to my friends, they reach out to me, and our relationships are authentic and mutual. During 8th grade, on my morning bus ride to school, I felt happy and excited knowing that I get to see my friends again. I love to laugh with them, make jokes with them, just be with them. I'm really excited for when quarantine is over and we get to be together again on a regular basis and in person. I believe that life is a journey to self-improvement. And with some hard work like goal setting and self-reflection, people can grow over time. I know this is true because I've done this in the past 2 years. And to this day, I'm still working on improving myself. I believe that this is the path to enlightenment, the Buddhist principle that I first learned from my grandmother, my Banoi. Even though I have left 8th grade, I'm really excited for high school at Franklin. I know I'll be given even more chances to grow, improve myself, and to mature. I honestly believe this is what life is all about. Life is simply a continuous, never-ending journey, filled with opportunity after opportunity to evolve and change. I prayed that I would be on this path to enlightenment for my whole life. Thank you.
Cosman! Woo! Cosman. Thank you. All right. Thank you, Cosman. Thank you for being flexible with how we stepped into that speech as well. Rocky Joe, speaking of flexibility, are you with us, Rocky Joe? Can you hear me? Are you able to bring your...
Yeah, I can hear you. Can you hear me?
I can hear you. Rocky Joe, you ready to rock the speech?
Yeah, I just had some technological issues, but I was able to get them fixed.
As that is all good. Technological issues are a part of this process. We expect them, and it's totally fine. We will navigate them with as much flexibility and grace as we can. So we are glad you are here, and thank you for helping, for sticking with it, Rocky Joe. Rocky Joe, I'm going to turn the floor over to you. Is that cool?
Yeah.
Rocky Joe Vella is our next speaker.
Some of the most important and memorable times in my life have been spent outdoors, specifically in the ocean and also in the mountains. I love to surf and I love to snowboard. Both of these outdoor spaces are a big part of who I am and a part of my family. Each place, the ocean and the mountains, bring about some similar feelings in me. I feel joy in both places. I have fun in both places, and I feel free in both places. When I've spent the day in the ocean or in the mountains, my body feels tired in a really good way afterward. I have memories, family rituals, and favorite ways to spend the day in both of these places. At the same time, these places are also different from each other. While I love them both and each place serves a similar purpose in my life, there are things I feel and do while I'm at the ocean that are different from the things I feel and do in the mountains. I love being outside when I breathe fresh air, whether it's cool, crisp mountain air or salty, warm coastal air. My body knows I'm out of the city. I know I'm about to do something I love to do, and I'm instantly refreshed. After 2 months of distance learning during quarantine, I've noticed that being outside feels extra good. It feels a million times better than being stuck inside my house. It does not matter if I'm in the ocean or snowboarding down a favorite trail. When I'm in both of these places, I feel the most free, I feel happy, and I feel excited. I look forward to going to both of these places with my family. On some days in the ocean or on the mountain, I learn a new trick or try something new on the drive home. I usually talk about my day with my family. I tell them some of my highlights or explain how excited I am about getting better at surfing or snowboarding. And I always feel a sense of accomplishment on the car ride home. Even though both of these places make me feel a sense of extreme joy, and they are both part of my family's culture and the way we spend our time. The ocean and the mountains are not exactly the same for me. I think I started in the ocean first, and I feel really comfortable in the water. I'm definitely a surfer, but if I'm being totally honest, I feel I'm better at snowboarding than I'm at surfing. I'm getting better at both sports, but I have more confidence as a snowboarder. And because of that, I have a lot more independence. I go off on my own, meet up with my friends, and sometimes don't connect with my family until the end of the day. When I'm going in the mountains, in the ocean, it's different. I'm very much still learning to surf, and for me, surfing is a lot harder than snowboarding. The ocean is unpredictable, and because of that, I am less independent there and stick close to my family when I'm surfing. All of that said, let me tell you what it is that I love so much about going to the ocean. Most of my family comes from Hawaii. The ocean has been part of my family culture as long as I can remember, and everyone in my immediate family surfs. My parents taught me how to surf when I was a toddler. I love being in the water. I love surfing, but I also love just being at the beach. Both of my favorite beach spots have tide pools, and one of my favorite things to do at low tide is to jump off of the big barnacle-covered rocks into the standing water in the tide pools. The familiar sticky squish of gently poking a sea anemone with my finger, and the specific smell of the briny Oregon coast. At low tide, bring back some of my favorite memories. Me and my family have so many memories of the beach and the ocean, and we also have some rituals and routines for these trips that are so important as our time spent at the beach itself. No matter No matter what, I always bring a sleeping bag, even when I know I'm not spending the night. My kitchen is the loading zone. The night before we know we are heading to the coast, my family piles up all of our beach stuff in my kitchen. We bring our wetsuits, our surfboards, and we never go to the beach without our pink cooler. I always plan ahead. There's an app called Magic Seaweed, and I use it to get a sense of how big the waves are going to be, what the temperature will be like, and how strong the wind is going to be. If the waves are too small or too big, I don't get as hyped up. But if I know that the waves are not too big or not too small for surfing, I get excited and I know it's going to be a great day. I spend a lot of time at the beach, but I also love being in the mountains. Just like with surfing, my family introduced me to snowboarding when I was just a few years old. Like surfing and the beach, going to the mountains and snowboarding is also part of my family's identity, and something we like to do together often. I love to snowboard. I can do tricks such as a 180, jumps with a melon grab or toe grab, and I'm learning how to do a 360 at the current moment. I can go really fast on my snowboard, and I know that I can maneuver all over the mountain and ride on many different kinds of terrain. I can go fast on groomed runs. I can make my way through the thick powder of a tree-lined trail, and even moguls are fun for me. My family and I have rituals and routines for getting ready to go to the mountains, just like when we have them for our days at the ocean. We get everything packed in the morning when it's a mountain day. We pile up our snowboards, our boots, our gear, a big bag of snacks, and usually some microwavable food. Get hyped up in a different way when I know I'm going snowboarding. Like I do when I go to the beach, I still check the weather. I still check the overall conditions and if there's going to be fresh snow, as I shared earlier. I have more independence at the mountain than I do when I go surfing, and I know that I may get to spend the day with my friends, choosing which runs I want to take and when. This independence makes me feel extra excited. I never go to the mountain. I never go to the mountain without a plan. I have some favorite spots, trails, trees, jumps, and moguls that I know I want to get to. I map out my mornings at the mountain to make sure I get to hit all of my favorite spots. When I meet up with my family after a long day of snowboarding, my body feels that good kind of tired, and I'm excited to share all of the adventures of the day with them on the long ride home in the car. I can't imagine what my life would be like without snowboarding and surfing. Trips to the beach and trips to the mountains have always been an important part of my identity. These places are literally part of who I am as a person, and they are so embedded in my life that they feel like the backbone of my family itself. While the ocean and the mountains are not exactly the same, they both give me some of my best memories. They both give me a feeling of freedom. They both give me joy, and they both give me long-standing important rituals and traditions for myself and my entire family. While I don't know exactly what the future holds for me, I do not. I do know that the ocean and the mountains will always be a big part, be a huge part of my family. Yeah, I'm done. Beach. Yeah. Beach. Yeah.
Woo! Rocky Joe! Woo!
Yes.
Thank you, Rocky Joe. Rocky Joe Vella. Thank you.
Thank you, Michael.
All right. We are going to transition. Let me make sure we're good with our tech. Give me just a moment. I'm just making sure we're good with our tech. All right, we're good. Thank you all for being aware of your mics, your cameras, and so that we can hold space for our fifth and final speaker today. Our fifth speaker today is Winter Peterson.
Mistakes. Everyone makes them. They're part of learning and growing. All the memories I create make me who I am. I will either fail or succeed based off those experiences. As I'm entering a new phase into my life, I started thinking about the mistakes that I've made and how I've grown from them. Like, I can remember when I was in second grade and wanted to do something new with my hair. Other girls had bangs, and I thought maybe I would like them too. Later, realizing I didn't like them, they taught me the lesson that not everyone needed to look the same. And everyone has a different way of expressing themselves, whether that's through their hair, clothes, or in some other way. It's really based on you. I learned another valuable experience in second grade when I made a bad choice. My class was in the middle of silent writing, but I decided that when it was the best time, I was going to lean over and bite the boy next to me as hard as I could. He had already been aggravating me, so as soon as I heard the loud cries and the teacher's voice say, "Go to the office," it was all over. I assumed that I would have no punishment, considering I gave no thought when I did it. But that was not the case. I had let my annoyance get the best of me. Now looking back on it, I could have done it differently. I could have talked through it and got help. I took a lot from this occasion. Like what I do affects others, not just myself. And the choices stay with me. So take the time to make the right decision. The last lesson I chose to share with you today is the consequences of my anger. One of the earlier times that I remember is when me and my sister were arguing, and it got a little out of control. I ran into the bathroom and slammed the door behind me. The problem was, I hadn't realized it, but I slammed it so hard that I had caused the door to become stuck. Now I was locked in the bathroom, angry, and becoming scared, not knowing what to do. By the time I got let out, I had calmed down and realized that it was a result of my overactive anger. An important lesson I found out about being angry is that it has an effect on the choices that you make. Just take the time to breathe and think about it. You'll end up making the better decision with a much happier outcome. All I know is life is going to throw challenges at us. And I've learned that challenges are really just opportunities to make a better you. Mistakes and accomplishments are going to be made along the way, but you just have to learn to accept and grow from them, and it is an important part of becoming who you are. Getting older, I'm starting to understand how thankful and appreciative I am for all the mistakes that I've made. I am who I am because of them, and I really like me. Entering a new phase now, I'm really excited and looking forward to all the new challenges and opportunities that are going to be made, whether big or small. I hope that I will always be able to take something out of them and become a better, stronger me. Thank you guys. Hope you guys have a good summer.
Yeah, Winter Peterson. Woo! Thank you, Winter Peterson. We hope you have a good summer too. Thank you, Winter. Carly, Marley, Cosman, Rocky Joe, Winter. You five have set an example of the power of stepping into that discomfort, staying engaged within it instead of shying away from it, and speaking your truth. The power of you all showing up with with your examples is so dang significant. Thank you. Thanks to the hundreds of folks who are in this space and beyond in YouTube for showing up in solidarity of our speakers and continuing to do so as we take a moment with Carrie and Robin to celebrate each. And once Carrie and Robin are done and say goodbye and we then leave, for taking the time to show up once more for these speakers in our own ways through our Padlets and whatever other means you might communicate with speakers. Thank you. My goodness. Thank you. Carrie, why don't we pass it off to you? Thanks to 200 folks for staying engaged with Carrie and Robin so that we can celebrate Carly, Marley, Rocky Joe, Cosman, and Winter.
Thank you. Thank you, Michael. And thank you to all the speakers today. How fortunate we are. How fortunate we are here. I'm going to start with Winter. Thank you, Winter, for showing up. I'm so proud of you. Thank you for your reflection on the importance of learning from the mistakes that we make, and we all make them. You remind us that the influence of others is always at play, even when it comes to your bangs, and how we express ourselves has the potential to reflect the uniqueness of each of us. You shared that your second grade self was truly surprised that you were in trouble because it was a choice or an action that you hadn't really thought about. and learning from that you truly impact others and that the choices that we make can stay with us. I agree with you. You're right. Challenges can be ongoing. And it's often that you find yourself in the situation where if it's anger, if it's biting, if it's a haircut, your reaction to that can influence other people. Thank you, Winter. Thank you for reminding us that among other things, we are shaped by our choices and that there are lessons to learn and to grow from in the mistakes that we make. Thank you, Winter. Rocky Joe. Rocky Joe. I can't see you. Thank you for sharing the importance of the outdoors in your life and how your connection to the ocean and the mountains connects you to yourself and defines you and the people that you love. In addition to finding the places that inspire you and make you happy, you have found places that challenge you, encourage you to take risks and to try something new. Each place offers you a different version of yourself. On the mountain, you feel independent and confident on your board. And in the ocean can be unpredictable and you're learning. And as you continue to learn, you're staying close to your family in that process. The metaphor in your writing of these places, the metaphor as the backbone of your family, you represent all the things you mentioned: routine, ritual, connection, tradition, and how all of that forges together to be your family. You capture the significance of the ocean and the mountains in your life. Well done, Rocky Joe. Thank you. Marley, I can see you. You consider the role basketball has had in your life so far, and that the people and the game have influenced who or you are becoming. It's evident in the speech that the work you do on and off the court, your confidence grew from that. And as you continue to play and practice and learn from other people, including your trainer, challenges show up everywhere, and you moved through them and continue to address the impact playing basketball has had on your body. Through basketball, you've learned to take risks and understand that learning from others improves your game. You don't have to be the best. You can learn from other people, and that's helped to build your confidence. You acknowledge that you haven't done this alone, that the support of your father, the inspiration of your brother, the compassion of your mother have all been an influence on the person that you are. Thank you, Marley, for sharing your love of basketball with us. Cosmin, I can see you. Inspired by your grandmother's teaching, you connected with an idea in Buddhism that we all have a role in what becomes of our lives. And recognizing that you wanted more for yourself than just getting through, and that you wanted 8th grade to feel different, you identified that you would have to have a role in making that happen. You were intentional, Cosman. You took actions. Thank you for sharing the actions that you took when you decided what you wanted for yourself. It gives some people a place to start if it's something they're wanting for themselves as well. Your mom supported with non-judgmental listening. You researched and you figured out setting goals for yourself. You started with your physical self. You challenged yourself to engage others, which can be really an incredible challenge if it doesn't come to someone who it appears to come to naturally. You started practicing gratitude. You persevered. You stuck with it. So many people set goals and they last about a week. And yours is going to be, I believe, as you've said, a lifelong journey. You dedicated yourself to the work, Cosman. You acknowledge that the journey to self-improvement is ongoing, that people can grow. That's an important thing for people to take away today. And there will always be lessons learned. And you are already experiencing the impact of your efforts, dedication, and reflection. Thank you, Cosmin, for reminding us all of the opportunities we have to evolve and to change. And in your words, we can find steps for how to begin. Thank you, Cosmin. Robin, over to you. Celebrate Carly.
Thanks so much, Carrie. Thank you, speakers. Hi, everyone. All right, Carly, thank you so much for your stunning and commemorative speech and for sharing your favorite poetry with us. You honor the wisdom and teachings of Amy Kleiner and Karen Shea. You beautifully share with us how you've grown and developed while learning to navigate relationships to others and to yourself. You've learned to use your voice and speak up for what you believe in. You will always have a home at Sunnyside, no matter where you live. I'm so deeply proud of you for completing your speech, Carly. You rocked it, and you filled all of our hearts with joy. Thank you, Carly. Thank you so much, speakers, Marley, Carly, Winter, Rocky Joe, and Cosman. Echoing Michael and Carrie, your courage and bravery in this space is so profoundly needed now more than ever. I want to close out with a passage from Stamped, the remix written by Jason Reynolds and Ibram Kendi. This passage is an acknowledgement written by Jason Reynolds for the youth. What I've learned is that you're far more open and empathetic than the generations before you. Hold on one sec, sorry. Sorry, okay. What I've learned is that you're far more open and empathetic than the generations before you. So much so that your sensitivity is used as an insult, a slight against you. Your desire for a fair world is seen as a weakness. What I've learned is that your anger is global because the world now sits in the palm of your hand. You have the ability to teleport, to scroll upon Warzone or a murder, to witness protest and revolution from cultures not your own, but who share your frustration, your refusal, your fear. But I have to warn you, scrolling will never be enough. Reposting will never be enough. Hashtag will never be enough. Because hatred has a way of convincing us that half of love is whole. What I mean by that is we, all of us, have to fight against performance and lean into participation. We have to be participants, active. We have to be more than an audience member, sitting comfortably in the stands of morality, shouting wrong. That's too easy. Instead, we must be players on the field, in the court, in our classrooms, in our communities, trying to do the right thing, because it takes a whole hand, both hands, to grab a hold of hatred. Not just texting, a thumb, and scrolling through an index, and scrolling index finger. Please take Jason Reynolds' acknowledgement as a call for your action. How will you use both of your hands to fully grab a hold of hatred? What will your action be? I want to leave you all with that. Please join your core classes, and we'll see you tomorrow to close out a beautiful week of speeches. Bye, y'all.